Are we live? Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Hey, everyone look at me, bitch.
Hey folks, Kingsidecastle13 here. Just wanted to explain what you're about to watch. A few months ago, friend of the channel YandereTotodile asked if I could come on screen to be interviewed, and after a lot of procrastination, I finally sat down and edited the VOD. For those who want to see the full, unedited interview, a link to that version will be in the description. Also, fair warning before we begin, this video will contain full spoilers to the original story of Higurashi, as well as many for the newer seasons. With that out of the way, I hope you enjoy.
Alright, super professional start here. Totally not
sure.
First interview. First collab even. So. I suppose we just get to introducing yourself to everyone.
Alright. Well, I go by Drew, but a lot of people online just call me Kingsidecastle13. I'm an aspiring voice actor. I direct and lead Studio Weeb 07. We're working on Higurashi Abridged right now, for those who don't know. I also work as a co-director for another dub team for the Sonic the Hedgehog comics. The team's called Rogue Dubs.
Yo, Nux! Save any for me?
Sonic! Long time no see! What brings you out here?
I ran into Amy the next town over. She said you were looking into trouble here. I thought I'd lend a hand.
And in future episodes of Higurashi, I'm going to be playing characters like Akasaka. I already play Oreo. I already play the principal. I got a couple other small bit roles there, here and there, but I'm going to have some more coming up in the future.
Nice. So are there any other, I know you mentioned Sonic, what outside interests do you have other than Higurashi?
I am as big of a nerd as it gets. I do a lot of gaming. I mean, like I said before we started the stream, I had to physically force myself to set down the Switch I was playing to do this. I also, I'm a big movie nerd. Just got done seeing a new Spider-Man movie, and I will talk to ends about it because I'm an animation buff. I'm basically anything nerd culture you can find me in. Now, sports, I don't know anything about.
That's where my, like, other than like Higurashi and anime in general. Thank you for the sub, Cal. I should have had those notifications muted, but I don't know why they didn't. Sorry. But like sports are kind of my thing as well. Behind me in my backdrop, I have a lot of like Power Rangers memorabilia. Tokusatsu has been something I've been
I see that.
Been interested in since I was a kid, through like the old Godzilla movies even. That's kind of been my leeway into Japanese cultures through those. So how long have you been in the Higurashi fandom for?
Oh gosh. So it would have been back in 2014. I was kind of going through what I can only call an edgelord phase. I was looking for anime scenes that were brutal because I kind of been weaning myself into anime, and I was like, oh cool, there's violence. I haven't really watched violence. I need to watch more violence. So I found a video specifically that was like top 10 brutal scenes in anime, and it had stuff like Elfen Lied, it had something from the old Devilman, but the one that caught my eye was it did the fingernail scene from
hell yeah,
from Miyakashi. And then it also showed the knife scene from the same arc. I was like, okay, everything else I've seen is just blood, but this stuff is really creepy and in your face and lingering. I want to see what that's about. So I finally sat down and watched it. Absolutely loved it, although I made the mistake of watching the dub first. I would very quickly go back and rectify that. But I was hooked right then and there. And then after I finished the anime and realized they were games originally, and there was much more story, I never looked back.
Right. So mine, kind of similar, except I found it last year. Because, like, we'll get into this more, and I mentioned it before stream. I kind of had this burnout of what I was covering before, which was Pokemon and Nintendo. So I took like a few months of not streaming to try and figure out what I wanted to do again. So I got back into anime because I hadn't watched since I was in high school. And as I'm going through, I find those anime opening compilations, like top 500 best of all time. And I'm just skipping through everything to try and find stuff that sounds cool. and one of them was the first opening for Higurashi. It's like, oh, that looks kind of badass. Because it was like the scene with like Satoko and like the moon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I added that, didn't watch for a bit. I'm talking to one of my friends on Fortnite, of all things. Like, oh, there's this weird horror anime I looked up once and haven't watched yet, of these like girls in like the 80s that kill each other. And I watched it that night, and that first arc like did things to me horribly.
Yeah.
I was like screenshotting my progress through each episode, sending it to my friends like, this shit's fucked up. I don't trust food anymore because of the ohagi scene. So that's kind of where I kind of came in, and I started to stream the visual novels, like you had mentioned, with just finding out that it was a game first. And my only experience beforehand with VNs was I knew of Doki Doki, hadn't played through it until after I did the first chapter of Higurashi.
I mean, it's fun.
It is. It was so fun comparing that. But yeah, it's just kind of been... I haven't felt any burnout from it since starting VNs, let alone Higurashi. It's kind of one of those things. One of those things that kind of stands and has stuck with me.
I mean, there's a lot of variety with that genre, so you've got a whole bunch to explore, and it's not a lot of the same stuff over and over again.
Mm-hmm. So who would you say your favorite character in Higurashi is?
So I kind of partial to the character I'm going to be playing. I love Akasaka.
Mm-hmm.
I love just kind of the arc he goes through, especially when he shows back up in later stuff. It's absolutely wonderful anytime he pops up on screen. I can say with certainty that the minute he popped up on screen in Go, my face just absolutely lit up, and I was like, oh boy, it's finally time for my boy.
Oh god.
And that was one of the main reasons that when we were setting this up with our series, that I was very adamant that I wanted to play him.
Mm-hmm. So what would your favorite arc of the series be?
Ooh. Well, I want to say Himatsubushi is one of my favorites.
That's what I figured.
If we're talking about like extended stuff, I think probably still Himatsubushi, but with respect to the one we're gonna watch a little later, Yume Tsushi.
Nice.
I've also found as we're writing that I have a fondness for Yakusamashi, which is the anime only arc.
Is that the Satoko one from Kai?
Yes.
Okay.
I know a lot of it was just them restoring stuff that they cut from the first scene that they ended up needing for the second one.
Right.
But because it is its own story and it's not trying to adapt a much larger work, they were kind of able to create a better flow of the story. And I think of the anime arcs, I think it's one of the best ones that has good pacing compared to the others.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I'll kind of go into my favorite character as well. I love... Technically, it's two. Because I love both of the Sonozaki sisters about equally.
Okay.
With, because I have my Mion shirt on right now. And then, obviously, Shion's kind of my pseudo-mascot for the channel. I find them kind of relatable to sort of how I feel in my personal life and with family relations. More so on the Shion side.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm curious. Did you do the art for your channel, like for the avatar, or was that someone else who did that for you?
No, another streamer I follow. I won like a commission giveaway she was doing, and she's also a Higurashi fan. I have her linked in my About Me section.
I'll make sure I throw a link up on screen of the artist for the video version.
Definitely do that. She's great. Obviously, the Shion and Totodile picture was even better than I thought it would have been.
Please commission the artist. I'm sure she's absolutely wonderful.
She is, for sure. What would your favorite season of the series be? Including OVAs.
Ooh, that's actually tough.
Right.
Because, I mean, I like certain arcs out of each one better than other ones, but I would probably overall give that to Kai. There was a real increase in the animation quality. The character models looked better. I mean, you look at Okanogi in the first season versus how he looks in the second season. You can see there's a drastic increase in quality. And as much as I love the first intro of the original Higurashi series, Michael actually put this better in his video too. But the season 2, the Kai opening, kind of fits the tone of the series a little bit better for what it's going for overall. So I think overall I will have to give it to Kai. I feel like that is that was my favorite one of those.
Yeah, but I kind of feel the same. I've mentioned it during my reaction to Michael's video, of course, with the opening conversation. They're kind of equal in my eyes, and they do kind of both fit that same tone for what the show's trying to be. So, like, it's those two, then I'd probably go in order from each series, except Kira's gonna be mostly towards the bottom for that one episode.
Yeah. It really is sad that first episode brought the entire series down, because the rest of the OVAs, like, if you just skip that first one, the rest of the OVA set is honestly pretty fun.
Like, I like Magical Girl stuff. I have, like, Sailor Moon on Blu-ray, and Madoka Magika's one of my favorite anime.
Yeah, I got a friend who loves Madoka.
Oh god. I found that before Higurashi, and that's kind of what pushed me to Higurashi. That same sort of... I've noticed I like those kind of, like, start off cute and then just get, like, really dark out of nowhere things.
Yeah. But, I mean, Higurashi was a slow burn for it, whereas Madoka was very sudden.
Right.
I won't spoil it for anyone who's, like, watching either the stream or the VOD, like, just what happens exactly, but you should watch Madoka.
Has there ever been a time you felt burnout from Higurashi or even anything else?
There was a little bit of time where I had that. So after my first run of the series, I did another run where I took some friends through it, because I was trying to spend as much time with them as I could before I moved for the first time. So that was kind of like my send-off. And after I got done with that, I kind of asked myself, well, now what? I mean, this was at a point, this would have been around 2015-ish or so, where there was just kind of a lull in what Higurashi was doing. So I didn't really have more media to consume for it.
Right.
It wasn't until I discovered the visual novels that I said, oh, okay, there's more to this, and I can get back into this now. Yeah, there was a brief pause where I was like, okay, now I gotta do something else for a little bit, and then eventually come back to it. But I haven't had a true burnout yet, thank God. I do make sure that I regulate myself on it. Like, I know I love the series, but I gotta like take breaks so I don't get that burnout, because I would hate for my favorite story ever to be something that I hate overall.
Right. I didn't have that grace period of nothing between the franchise for Higu that others had, including yourself.
I mean, my grace period was admittedly short compared to some of the other fans that have been at this a little bit longer.
Right.
But, yeah.
I can't even imagine what it's like for them. Outside of Japan, I mean. Because they
Outside
constantly
of Japan,
get
content
stuff.
is dried up. In Japan, they got a gacha game going right now. So
Yeah,
content
man.
is constantly coming out.
And then they keep having all these collabs, too. Like,
You've seen that. Yeah, like there was another Umineko one a little while ago.
there's, like, the cafe bars, too, that are running, like, food and drink collabs specifically for the gacha game.
I know, it's absolutely wild to think how popular the series is in Japan, and I wish that westward it would get a little bit more attention, because it is a really good story, and everyone I've shown it to that actually sits down and watches or listens or reads to it or whatever, they love it. It's just it doesn't have as much of a wide reach outside of Japan.
Which sucks, because especially with Kai not having a dubbed season, and that's the finale to that first section. Kira and Ray, it makes sense not to have a dub. They're OVAs, but
there
you
was
need
a
that
big
conclusion.
thing that really upset me, where when they were starting to put it on streaming services, Hulu got it first, if I remember right. I think at one point Netflix had it, but it dropped it really quick. But anytime it's been put on a streaming service, they only put the first season on there.
I've seen that. I can't remember what's streaming service it is now, it's like
It's on High Dive now.
Yeah, and now with Gosotsu, it's mainly just those two that are on streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, with how it was marketed as like a reboot, but it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just come out and spoil it.
I'm sure a lot of fans of the series would be interested to see what would happen if Funimation were to go at it for the original series and like redub it.
Right. Or at least give a dub to season 2.
Yeah. Because their Hanyu actress was wonderful, and I'd love to see her do some of the main story.
Mm-hmm. So with that, and we kind of touched on Gosotsu, what were your general thoughts on it?
I mean, at first, like most of the fans, I was just happy to be getting more Higurashi anime. Because there hadn't, like, the last thing that Dean did, if I remember right, was Outbreak, and Outbreak ended on a cliffhanger, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So
it just ended abruptly.
It was nice to have. I apologize for the sound. It was nice to have something. I'm just gonna close this real quick. Excuse me. There we go. It was nice to have something new animated that was coming out, but then, I mean, I will always hold this. Go, I like. Go did a lot of good setup work for a mystery, and Go really made you think. But Sotsu was not a good payoff.
Right.
Sotsu, I feel like it was the real victim between the two of COVID. I feel like from what I saw, Go was almost ready to go and just needed a little bit of touch-up work, whereas Sotsu was a little more further like backwards in development, and it kind of seems like it fell flat on its face because of that. Like, it could have definitely used more time focused outside of the answer arcs and more so on that last arc. It needed much more than 2 episodes to do new stuff.
It's kind of how I felt about Gosotsu as well. I like that, or most of Go was fine. I think it really should have marketed more on the reboot aspect instead of immediately being a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should have waited till like the last episode of that arc to be like, okay, this is a reboot and this is different.
I can definitely agree to that. But there were scenes in Sotsu that should have been in Go, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I think Go is really good. I think a lot of the fandom kind of overreacts to it.
I think Sotsu retroactively hurt Go.
It did. For sure. A lot of what I did not like about Gosotsu was... Corvin might hate me for this, but I don't like Satoko in those 2 seasons. It's going to be a conversation we have, but...
I mean, it was very much character suicide or character assassination, which I hate to see because, I mean, a lot of people really, really like Sadako as a character, and I don't blame them. She's a really well done character.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, at least for a lot of Gosotsu, it was almost an entirely different person.
Right. That could kind of be explained with the weird double personality witch thing.
According to my notes of what you sent me, I think it's about time I do the thing.
I think it is, actually. So, right. For anyone that's... Yeah, while you do that, I'll introduce a bit. So anyone that's kind of new here, or doesn't know who this is the director of Studio Weeb 7, who also run a Higurashi Abridged series, which is hilarious. I was a cameo role in Watanagashi.
And you're going to be back later.
Oh, yeah. Arc 6 is going to be a grand time.
Oh my god. That arc is undoubtedly going to be one of the most fun ones to write. We have an idea of what we want to do for the final fight. It was actually pitched by Michael. I won't say what it is because it is very much subject to change right now. But if we go through with that idea, it's going to be a fun time.
Just a second here. I have...
First off, since they're here, I want to give a shout out to Can for finishing this in advance. We have been working on Chapter 3 right now for the Abridged series, and I thought that it would be cool if we brought a scene to show off that no one has seen before outside of the team.
It's raining hard out there. It's a good thing I stopped by too.
I didn't do it!
We know you didn't do it, Maibara.
Okay, good. Wait, what do you mean? What didn't I do?
I don't know. You're the one who brought it up.
Right. Hey, that's Birdfucker's bike. Mine's small enough to fit next to his. I don't mind docking with a bro.
You're 14. Also, that's my bike. I let him borrow it after my DUI expired.
Oh, should I be worried about you driving me home then?
You should probably be worried for a lot of reasons. So listen here. You and I did not meet tonight. I don't know what you did, and you don't know what I did. You got that?
Uh-huh.
See you around, KG. Have fun with your holes. God knows I did with mine.
Did she see me? I would have killed her if she saw it. No, of course not. And even if she did, that's okay. She'll probably crash her car and die.
Episode 3 is being worked on. We don't have an ETA yet. It will happen.
Nope. You're...
I'm gonna say the cyberpunk line, but actually mean it, and that is, it's coming when it's ready.
Don't mind me.
And swear to God, if you crunch editing, I will personally come over there and take your computer away. Yeah, no. We're just waiting on the actors to submit the rest of their lines. We got a couple who are still recording right now.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, the camera
But then,
angle messed up.
I mean, if we were monsters, we would just create AI versions of their voices.
Right. But I love that. That's hilarious. Also, was that sexual healing in the background?
Yes, it was.
I didn't want to interrupt that, but I was trying to think of the song, and I'm like, is that Marvin Gaye?
So, whenever we're setting up a scene, and I'm very particular about any like sounds or references or anything like that's going to be in the scene. It has to have released before 1983 of June of 1983. So I'm very particular on stuff like that, but that kind of really lets us have some fun with finding strange stuff. Like, I was looking through like the Billboard chart from that year. I was like, oh God, what could work? And then I saw sexual healing on there. I'm like, we have to put this in here because we're making Takano the way she is.
Mm-hmm. I like that attention to detail you guys put in to keeping it like authentic to the period.
Now, I will say, and anyone who's paid attention to the first two episodes, we do break this rule a couple times. The biggest time that we'll break it is anytime we're in Angel Fort. We'll just say fuck it, and we'll put on Renaissance versions of anime openings.
That's something I was going to ask about too, is the Angel Fort thing once we get to...
Yeah, let's save it for that, because there's a story to that.
So, I also, with that authenticity thing, because Watanagashi, you guys reference, like, the Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
And just a bunch of other, like, early 80s Japan references, too.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain Studio Weeb, who's in it? Kind of what led you there?
So, hold on, let me actually pull up my notes here, because I made notes on this. We're a lot of different passionate members of the community. The big names that we have in it right now, I mean, two of them are in here right now. Crew on the Sofa plays Keiichi. Ken from Those Sisters You Know plays Rena. And funny enough, Julia from Those Sisters You Know is now our voice of Chie after our first one had to back out. There's also Mr. Hunter. He's the voice of Tomitake as of episode 2. He popped up in episode 1 as one of the Yamainu, the mountain dogs, as some people know them in English. And I love how we just randomly give them like American ass names.
Right.
That was me like not knowing what to call them, and I'm so glad that we just went with that. Another big member we have is Corvid. He is he's one of our main artists. He does a lot of really fantastic art, and I know he's going to be doing an interview down the line.
23rd,
and then,
I think.
Yeah. And then he's working his butt off on a pretty cool scene we have planned for episode 3. But he did stuff like the exterior of Angel Fort, and he did the shot in the first episode of Rika snoring.
Okay, now I'm remembering that.
Which I'll just say it now. That was a flubbed take from our actor who played Sadako. That was a sound that they made that I was like, okay, this is too funny just to like not have in the show. So I was like, hey, Corvid, I don't want to tell the actor because I want this to be a surprise for them, but can you draw something for this? And then he later did, we restored a jump scare from the visual novel for Watanagashi when Keiichi's on the phone call. And that was another one that we did that he is very proud of because he managed to not only replicate the art style of Dean, but also make it look like the original art from the visual novel.
Right. That was one that I really liked seeing. Because you guys also, you tie in like a lot of the visual novel references that don't make it into the anime.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more of that in episode 3. We try to make this as we're trying to make this the best version of the story that we can based on the previous versions that exist, while at the same time still adhering to the abridged formula. Right. So like that's like how we reference like the apple bunnies in chapter 1. That is my favorite scene from the visual novels, by the way. The bit where Rena's just got Keiichi on her lap and just shoving apples down his throat. But like if we can, we'll try our best to restore it. If we can't, we'll at least make reference to the fact that it happened. Like we referenced how Chie was trying to teach everyone how to cook curry.
What led you to abridging?
So I've been a fan of abridging for a long while now. I got into it from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, like I'm sure a lot of people did. Team 4-Star did phenomenal work and really set the bar high for that one. After they got done with their 3rd season and they said they weren't going to be doing it anymore, it kind of opened the gates. It was kind of like All Might pointing at the screen saying, now it's your turn, for a lot of people. And then it kind of started like boiling on the back of my brain of, hey, there's this series that I love that not enough people know about because it's not really as known in the West. What can I do to help with that? And then I had the Blu-rays, but I didn't know how to even get started. So I slowly started talking about it, and then come 2020, I had a moment where I was sitting down, I was like, okay, I kind of just need to reinvent myself. I need to actually start going after voice acting like I wanted to. I need to just do something with my life. So after talking over with some friends, we decided, hey, if we can actually make this happen, let's do this. I still have the original Facebook chat that started the channel. It was like there's maybe myself and one of our artists are 2 of the only remaining members from that original chat. But I remember one of the first things we said we were going to do, even before we had anyone cast, was we need to change Irie to not be what he is.
Oh yeah. Are there any other like future plans for the channel?
We've talked a couple times about, do we maybe want to do another series on top of it? And it's kind of gone back and forth. The big issue is we just can't decide on which one we want to do. I mean, I remember when we first started, I was trying to pitch that eventually we should do Devil May Cry, and I'm still in the boat that we need to do Devil May Cry one day. But I'm not going to confirm anything yet because we don't have anything to confirm. I will say that when another series does come around, I will make sure that you are one of the first to know.
Okay, so for the Abridging Inspirations thing, I could not find Faulerro's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. So Faulerro used to have one on YouTube. And he was Faulerro used to have this on YouTube. He was called Fabulous Faulerro, if I remember right. So I remember when I originally found it, I found it on there. However, his channel is just gone. I don't know if he got copy striked out of existence. I don't know if he just yeeted it himself, but he is completely gone. That said, some brilliant mastermind put it up on Vimeo.
Okay.
So it is still there to this day, last I checked. It's about 20 minutes long, and it served kind of as the basis for how we wanted to approach things. He did the entirety of Onikakushi, the first arc, in a single episode.
That's something we're going to talk about, is how Onikakushi split for you guys.
Yeah, it was never meant to be split.
Of course not.
But it also should not have been as long as it was, looking back on it in hindsight.
Because that one, with all 4 parts, that would be like 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, which I mean, it's still shorter, but we could do it much shorter.
As you've shown with Wata.
The other person who I will give credit to was another abridger who managed to do some abridging for Higurashi, was Maniac Wednesday.
That's the only one I could find.
Yeah, so she did hers back in the day. She managed to get through the entire first season, but then she chose to stop after that. Our goal is to do as much Higurashi content as possible.
Right.
Obviously, the big goal right now is get through season 1 and then get through season 2. We kind of view those both as the same unit because they're essentially part of the same story.
Tying in with sort of the roles and things, what helps you kind of determine an idea for who should do what role?
So I can definitely tell you the audition process was a pretty interesting one. A lot of us will base our performances off of the Japanese cast because we do not want to recreate what happened with the dub. We will. Oh gosh, I gotta scroll down here. Sorry,
you're good.
Keep up with where I am on my notes. We'll listen to how people do. When it comes to certain characters, if it needs to be a little different than how the Japanese, because again, the Japanese cast is kind of the model, but then from there, we'll work with people and think, okay, what would this character sound like in this context? What I was going back to earlier, the auditions, Keiichi was actually the one that we took a long time to get because I was not used to interacting with people that I considered bigger than me on YouTube.
Right.
So while the thought of having Michael on board as Keiichi was a thought in the back of my mind, I didn't think that I was that I would have enough recognition to get him on board. Until I randomly said, all right, you know what, I'm just going to message him, take a shot in the dark. Same thing ended up being the case with Can as well. I remember one of our, that was Zero, our artist, who did the Angel Fort outfits. We'll talk about those in a bit. Zero was like, oh yeah, this person does Higurashi covers, and they're really good. And then as I was talking with them, because I wanted to eventually use one of Can's covers for an idea that we have way down the line, I was like, all right, you know what, we have an opening. You want to try out for Rena? And then she said yes, and oh my god, her tape was phenomenal.
I do think like everyone's pretty matched up perfectly to how I'd imagine the character to sound.
Yeah, there's a lot of points where we will oh, there's a German dub, I didn't know that. There's a lot of points where we'll go back and like if someone doesn't sound quite right, we'll see if they can still match it better, or if not, then we'll work with them from there to see if we can kind of workshop the voice to be what it needs to be. But generally, everyone when they auditioned, everyone was pretty spot on. I remember specifically when we were doing the auditions, and we the first person we got for Mion and Shion, who ended up not staying around to actually voice it. She was still pretty good. She managed to create enough of a difference between the twin voices that you could tell. but you could also tell, hey, it's still the same person. And then we got Serendipity, the replacement. She came on. The first thing she did was the laugh for Shion.
I love that laugh.
It scared the piss out of me when she did it in the audition.
Like, obviously, I'm more impartial to, like, Mion and Shion. So having someone that can do both of those different inflections between the two and still do the laugh is amazing.
Oh my god, Serendipity has been an absolute treat to work with. She also, for anyone who might not have caught it, she plays Mio Takano as well. So not only does she have to do a very set of voices for the twins, but she also has to do a separate voice entirely for Takano. So
Props to her.
She's an absolutely talented actress. It is an absolute treat working with her.
Yeah, real big props to her, because that's like 2.5, like, very different takes on people. So this next one, I'm going to add in a little extra question, because we did take one out before. So do you want to explain one of the changes you made to the series, which was the water wheel, and why it is censored constantly?
Okay, I have two answers for this. The first one is the actual reason. Because I get this question a lot. So, in the original show, the water wheel is a CGI 3D model, and it constantly spins in the background. It is the only CGI effect in the entire series. I have no idea why they decided to do it that way. But the fact that it is a constantly spinning object in the background makes it a lot harder to manipulate the scenes around that, especially when characters walk in front of it. So, we were getting frustrated trying to work around this thing, trying to make sure it constantly spun. And I remember Loki finally just said, fuck it, why don't we censor it? So I said, really? I said, yeah. So after we censored it, we said, well, wait, what if we actually made this a plot point? What if it's a giant spinning wooden disc?
There's your answer for that, kitten.
That is just inexplicably there. So yeah, the in-universe reason is there is a giant spinning penis in the Hinazawa, and no one knows why. So
the second question, kind of tying in a new one that I should have brought up with you first, but the Angel Mort change was a bit surprising for me, because I didn't notice it at first.
So Angel Fort was not my brainchild. Originally, I was wondering how we were even going to approach it. I won't lie, it's a little uncomfortable that there is what is essentially Japanese Hooters, and there are characters who are not adults working at it.
Shion.
Especially later in the series when they put Sadako and Rika in those outfits. It was a little. So, Zero was the one that made the suggestion of, well, what if we turn it into Crusader cosplay? And that kind of just snowballed from there. And then eventually we said, okay, now how are we going to do this? So Zero taught himself how to rotoscope. And on every frame that the outfits are in the scene, he will go back and frame by frame redraw so that they are in full armor. It is insane that he does that, and I would never have even suggested it unless he was the one who suggested it. Yeah, by hand.
Rotoscoping is like insanely time consuming.
He'll go frame by frame and redraw over their outfits. It's insane what he did. Yeah, it took him a long time, especially like I warned him when we started doing this. I said, okay, the first episode we're doing this won't be a problem, but the second episode has a lot of Shion in it. And yeah, I mean, it was absolutely wild that he suggested it. He's been a real champ about doing it because, again, he doesn't usually animate. Zero's not an animator. Yeah, he is usually just a still artist, a very good one at that. He is also, for reference, he's the guy who does our thumbnails.
They do the chibis too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anytime that you see my profile on any sort of social media, that art was done by them.
What are some of your other like favorite inside jokes in the series?
Oh gosh. Did I write notes for this? Okay, I did write it off this. So, this one, not a lot of. There's no way anyone outside the cast is going to know this until now. We try to the writers. We try to make the rest of the cast laugh within the scripts. So we will name the scenes in such ways that will really make people laugh. I think one of my favorite ones that has been a running gag is anytime that it's the scene where it introduces Oishi for that arc, he will name it Hot Gilf Oishi.
Oh my
it won't
god!
Be named that. And then Can will put some sequel number on there, followed by a sequel name. So I think Hot Gilf Oishi 2 was Electric Boogaloo.
I had to assume Electric Boogaloo.
The third one was A Twist in Time.
Mm-hmm.
And the one we wrote for Himatsubushi, it being a prequel, I called it Hot Gilf Oishi Origin. But it's been a fun time writing any of those.
That sounds great.
Past that, if we're talking about what's actually in the show that's a running joke, we got this one from Faulerro originally. We want to make sure that Keiichi mispronounces Watanagashi at least once in each episode. Because they had a whole joke in his version where Keiichi was trying to pronounce it but just couldn't. Yes, Riff, Batcoon is also a really fun running gag as well.
I also love the with the Watanagashi mispronunciation. It makes sense with the series too, because he doesn't recognize that it has two meanings.
Yeah, he's an outsider.
Even in his language, it's like, how do you not know?
It's a weird ass word, even in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you say it now around the actual town, Shirakawa, I guarantee the locals are going to go get the hell out of my village.
I want to go so bad, but I don't want to.
I
don't want to overweeb.
I mean, I've been trying to go. I've been trying to convince my wife that when we do go to Japan, because we do want to go eventually, that we need to take a time out of our trip to go to this small little village. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. If anyone hasn't seen the pictures, it is the town still looks today like what it looks like in the show, and what it looked like back in the 80s.
It is
it is untouched by time.
It is almost exact, especially like the Rika and Satoko house.
The only thing that's different
so perfect
is
in
that
detail.
they have these little tiny houses
Yeah.
that open up and giant hoses come out and they spray giant loads of water all over the fields.
You almost have to, because you're isolated from like almost everything there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially having thatched houses like that, where
Video of the house of the. Hold on, I'm trying to read. Didn't she make a joke edit of a video of those houses in action? I did not make that video. That's a video that I found. That someone took the video footage of the little houses that have hoses in them, and they put Nanodesu, Hanyu's character song, over it.
I love that song.
Oh, I adore it. I will say this now. We have an actor for Hanyu. And she is absolutely excited not only to play the character, but she wants to dub the song.
Really?
Yes. She knows how to speak a little bit of Japanese, so she adores the song.
Right.
And is really looking forward to it. Oh my god, yeah, Rift is right. She is perfect for the role. She is Hanyu, essentially.
That's great. I'm going to be excited hearing that song.
Yeah. We don't know when that'll happen, but we do know that we really want to do it. Yeah. Ken's talking about her too. Yeah, she is an absolute treat to work with.
So
I don't want to spoil the surprise with Hanyu, but we've done something pretty cool with Hanyu, and I look forward to seeing when people realize what we've done. And we should probably get back to the questions before we get too sidetracked.
Yeah. There's just so much that it's like, because the abridging process is like really fun to talk about. Then there's all these fun moments because you guys are like really kind of tight knit.
Yeah. So what we do is we have a server that's dedicated just to the team chatting with each other. And I mean, like, not only do we talk the show and do we talk Higurashi, but we'll just shoot the shit with each other. Sometimes we've done watch parties or different things. I remember when Encanto came out, a lot of us sat down and just watched that together. Excuse me. But we also talk about games a lot. I know Rift likes to talk about his D&D experiences with the team. We got a couple Yu-Gi-Oh players on the team who like to chat with each other. Haven't seen them duel each other yet, but I really do kind of want to see that happen.
Yeah, that same sort of like bond that you guys have is kind of why I wanted to start the Matsuri event. Because there's not like a lot that Higurashi fans can kind of interact with outside of the servers or occasional videos.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the goal for us, is we want to bring... Our series is kind of a celebration of the entire Higurashi fandom, especially out in the West. We would love to just bring as much of the Higurashi community together as we can.
Exactly. And, like, the artist thing that I showed yesterday, where some random person I found on Twitter was asking about, is there a Higurashi event for Jin? Well, now there is.
Yes, now there is, and I'm hoping it becomes a regular thing.
I hope so, too. I want next year to be a little bigger and a lot more collaborative.
I have always said that if I ever have to show up at a convention representing the team, I will do it in an Angel Mort outfit.
Ironic you say that. I forgot to put this on my overlay, but I have a follower goal. Or if I hit 300, I will do Angel Mort Shion cosplay. And do a baking stream with that.
All right, everybody. Anybody watching the edited video at home, I want you to go and follow this man. I want to see him in the outfit. Not for any bad reasons.
No, of course.
See it happen.
Yeah, one of the things I'm wanting to make, I have no idea what's even in it. I've only seen the pictures of it, and there's no description of what's in it. I want to make the tropical cinnamon love affair. That
what?
In Gosotsu, they had that tropical cinnamon dessert thing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm gonna do those and just basic Japanese cafe dessert things.
Oh, that'll be fun.
But that's for once we hit 300, so.
Let's get this man some followers.
But back to the inside jokes question, because I didn't get to bring up one that I always die at whenever I'm rewatching. It's in the Watanagashi episode, and it's at the competition with the cards. You just scroll up to the sign and it just says Pussyfucker Championship.
Okay. So there's a running gag here. Every time you see English text on the screen, that is not in the original show. That is Can. And Can is our main editor. Loki was originally going to be our main editor, but Can kind of became an editing god. So anytime you see text on screen that is in English, that is edited, and that I do not prompt Can on anything except for a couple times where I have some funny ideas. But most of that is Can's chaotic editing skills. So that pussyfucker thing, that was entirely them.
That sounds like her.
Yeah, it really does. Like the other one from Onikakushi that was absolutely Can was when Oishi and his coworker are flashing notes at each other, and the one that says that he wants to go to the Wendy's first just to try the new burger or something like that. That was entirely Can's idea.
It was that, and then like for the punishment game, you guys like drew dicks on Keiichi's face.
That one was my idea. Well, no, that was partially my idea. I told the editor, put whatever you want on his face. And then when I saw that Can put Reagan on his face, I said, can you also put Ryukishi on there as well?
I'll have to go back after and look at it all. Because all I remember is the dick, but I don't remember Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. So we've got a couple jokes about Ronald Reagan throughout the show, especially some stuff coming up too. Yeah, we're not done making fun of Reagan.
Because don't they mention him in the card game too?
Yeah, so I think like the Reagan jokes are all Can. Like that's Can's really creative input writing. Yeah. We have a couple jokes coming up regarding Reagan because I believe this is how bad I am at politics. I believe he was in office around the time the show was running, or at least the story was running. So Rika gets what Rika wants. Yes, indeed. So yeah, we just have. Oh yeah. So we just have a bunch of Reagan jokes sprinkled throughout.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of ties back into your question. That will be a running joke.
I love those because it does bring like a sense of continuity between everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Next will be. So we touched on it a little bit, sort of the struggles with YouTube, mainly copyright, and why episode 1 is split, being a result of that.
So anyone who's getting into abridging, I will impart some advice that your first outing, you are going to have some difficulties. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. What we faced was when we did the first episode, we kind of didn't really shuffle around the scenes at all. We just kind of played it out in order, but abridged. And then as a result, the algorithm thought that we were just posting the original episodes. That was not the case, obviously. But because of that, Frontierworks, who is the distributor for Higurashi, they kept claiming our stuff. Here we go.
It's your turn now. You have to do it.
I'm gonna hate this.
Yeah, you can swear we've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah, we can fucking swear, motherfucker. So you'll notice any future episode that we do, and we did this in episode 2, that when we changed the intro crawl to include Frontierworks, but because of how salty we are at them, we kind of change our pitch of voice when we say their name, because they weren't in the original crawl. Because we honestly didn't know that they were involved with it at all when we did the original first episode.
I noticed there was like a slight difference in how it was said, but I thought it was just kind of like Mion being like chipper tomboy.
No, that's
it was just sarcasm, apparently.
Yeah, no, we're admittedly a little bitter at them about that. So what happened was, when we tried to upload the episode as one unit, it just would not take. We even tried counterclaiming it. We did all the steps that every other bridger does, and they even went and manually claimed it too, which was just not fun at all. You can kind of see the original video that Cam made for the channel. That Cam was the one that was handling the upload of that, and that was just a mess. So you can see the video that she posted on our channel. It kind of shows all the different drafts and all the versions we tried to upload. It just would not take. What eventually ended up, because on the day we originally wanted to premiere it, we managed to premiere it on Facebook, with no problems as a single unit. It's still there to this day on our team's page. And then we also put it on Dailymotion. Dailymotion, we had to split it into 2 parts just because they had a duration limit. So we just put it into 2 with no problem. But YouTube, the only way we were able to get it up properly was to not only split it into 4, but also go back and re-edit it.
Right.
And then what Cam would do is she would do test uploads and then looked for a lot of the hot scenes that the algorithm would just attack repeatedly, and would then edit those until finally we managed to get something up.
So I guess last question about Abridged. What sort of like cut things have there been, or like deleted scenes?
So yeah, there, unfortunately with any show, especially like this, there always will be stuff that's on the cutting room floor. I know a couple people might be wondering what took Watanagashi so long to come out. Other than all of our lives like kind of just getting chaotic, a big part of it was us trying to make sure that it was shorter than the first episode, because we were not thrilled with the final runtime of Onikakushi.
With the 40 minutes compared to like I think 25 for Wata.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we try to model after what Faulerro did. So what we would do is we would go back to the script again and look at scenes and say, okay, how can we say this shorter? Eventually it got to the point where we were just cutting stuff a lot. So one of the big things that got cut from the second episode, and I posted a small clip of this back when the recordings first came in. There's that bit after Keiichi figures out that there actually are twins, and he's talking with Rena about it, where they all come out, and it's kind of like the end of the, oh, what have we learned today thing. That bit where Keiichi and Sadako are arguing, in the script, I called for Michael and for Axo, our actor for Sadako, I called for them to improv the argument. And there's some really good stuff in there that I will have to find the audio and put it up someday. Because, they foreshadow Go. There's the one bit that actually made it into the video that I posted. Well, not the Abridged, but the solo video I made, was Michael saying, "This is why Mom doesn't fucking love you."
This is why Mom doesn't fucking love you!
I've seen that. You guys had it on the channel.
Yep, that is from that tape. That scene sadly did not make it in, but I am so happy that I was able to at least find something for it. I will probably... We're holding on to those because we want to do an outtakes reel at some point. And some of those unused audios that are actually recorded, I might throw in there just to entertain people.
I think it would be fun to do, because apparently Kai has, it's 24, 2 to 5 second outtake clips that they mess around with.
I've
seen
that. Those.
I hate them, but they're fun.
We're talking about, we know about those. And thank God Corbett has those video files. So we've actually discussed the prospect of, can we fit some of these into the actual series?
Ooh. That would be interesting.
Some we can fit in more than others. All those, there's a running gag in them about Takano just using Tomochake as a step stool.
I was just thinking that she steps on him.
I'm pushing hard for us to find a way to include some of this.
Make him like a simp or something. It's like a flashback.
I would love.
Yes, my lady.
I would kill to get a recording of Hunter saying "Step on me, mommy." Don't go silent on me as you said after I say that.
I'm just laughing from it. That's hilarious. You got to get him to do it.
Yeah.
His interview, come in and spam it.
That's not even the worst thing we've written, honestly. So, kind of circling back to your other idea of a running joke too, but since it's spoiled, I wasn't talking about it in the comments. We set up a joke where the Yumainu trucks all play ice cream music.
Ooh.
But I didn't want to just stop there, so I made an ice cream version of the intro from Kira, and I exported the file, and then my computer's hard drive immediately failed after I exported it. So that a Happy Lucky Dochi ice cream song is literally my old computer's swan song.
What does Higurashi mean to you?
It's undoubtedly my favorite story from any medium. I've gone, even after watching it and reading it numerous times, I've gone and tried to find something that I can call an equal to it, and there's just nothing quite like it. It is also, for me personally, it's really helped me turn my life around and helped me kind of go towards my dream of voice acting. And I didn't think a simple story would ever be able to do that for me, but here we are.
Right. By the way, thank you for doing this.
Oh, happy to do so. I'm just glad it worked out scheduling wise.
Right. And I thought it was pretty interesting that it worked out for Fridays for everyone. There's some time shifting I'll have to do, but...
Well, yeah, but the fact that we were all able to land on a certain day of the week.
Bye.